Okay, welcome everybody. I'm Antonello Fusetti, the director of SPD. It's always a great pleasure for me to participate to the final presentation of the student of the Master in Car Design. I'm very happy to be here because I know it's really a special day in a special year. We work very hard, the tutor, the students, our company, Genesis, that is partner in this master. And we are really happy that today we can share the result of this long project and the works completed by our 26 students coming from all over the world. I think that was very interesting, the project, and so I wish to thank all the guests and participants, the students' families, their friends. We are viewing this event here, but also in the world, online. It's a special day because it's our first presentation with all these technology devices. And I think that it's better because we can spread all over the world the project that you did. And I'm very happy because the projects are great. And I want to thank all the Advanced Design Studio led by Filippo Perini and the people of the studio that are today with us. And a special thanks to all the tutors who collaborated to this project, like Raf Cirillo, Michele Leonello, Alessandro Fini, Daniele Cremona, Lucas Colombo Carbone. Lucas Colombo, I know Lucas from many years, and thank you, Lucas, for your great work. I'm sure that all students appreciate your precious input. A virtual applause. Thank you. Now, I leave the stage to Alessandro Serra, Head of Exterior Group Manager, Genesis Advanced Design Europe, for an introduction of the brand. Thank you.
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, perfect. So, who we are? We are a small team settled in Europe that works for the main brand Hyundai, set in Namyang, Korea. We work for the brand Genesis. What is the brand Genesis? The brand Genesis is not arrived yet in Europe. It's a kind of new brand that was born in 2015. So basically, it's not so long that we are on the market. So Genesis is already providing a completely lineup all around the world in many continents, but as I said, in Europe is not so much known. Genesis is a brand that, like each nation has, wants to set a new benchmark in luxury. So basically, it's the luxury brand of Hyundai. And what we want to do is to create this and proudly in a Korean car culture that we are kind of creating now, since these years. Genesis is a brand that wants to be athletic, wants to provide a kind of athletic elegance where a new customer can fit. Is provide cars that is important to drive, so as to give a nice drive feeling, but also wants to drive the customer in a new kind of luxury. So we are trying to be a kind of new trendsetter in that, This is our lineup. So basically it's 5 years so long, and Genesis can provide already an entire lineup of sedan, from the more sporty one till the most luxury and majestic that we have in our lineup. Also the SUVs. Now is a few days that we came out with the new G70, that is the compact SUV. And so also the lineup of the SUV is growing. And this will go on during the years. Genesis will grow and spread all around the world. The sedan, the G70, that is the compact one and the sporty. Now it came with the new facelift. That also provide our strategy in the front, the G80 and G90. So basically, these are our lineup, but everything was born years ago, setting the design DNA. Coming out with a new brand, you have also to tell who you are and our duty, being designers, is to provide the DNA. So we start from the front of the car. We provide, you know, which is the face of the car, no? And the crest grille. We treat it in separate ways when we want to provide athletic feeling or elegant feeling. So this was the result of what we created, the tiers, the crest grille in the front. There's another design feature that characterizes us, that is the parabolic line, the very lean and fluent and dynamic line that describes all the behavior of the car. In the side, we have also the expanding section. The expanding section is a kind of support for the parabolic, giving the dynamism and the stance of the car. And we also want to be a kind of retro lovers, no? So we provide this cutout rear end in the car with simple elements that we call the quad lamps. Sorry, my bad. This is characterizing also the face in the front, and is our DNA. Is the robot face of the car, no? Everything started with the Essential in Europe. This was the concept that our team developed some years before. And in this car, like always, we have a design process that starts from the sketches, using the most advanced technology also in doing 3D data, as you are doing, guys. And from the sketches, developing our ideas, we came out with our 3D proposals. Each designer now is able to use the technologies to provide 3D data of his own ideas, so you can have a better choice at the end. This is leading us in each process to a final decision, no? And a direction to go, where all the team focus about finding details and to cure the mass to be the most perfect and detailed product that we can provide. Treating it like a clockwork in the front, showing springs, showing the technology, playing with the transparency. And basically everything leads also to the details. To find the details, to find a way to interpret the details, we took inspiration from the Korean architecture with this intersection of lines that we call the G matrix. This is leading us in solving details like rims, like grills in the crest. And this is creating our unique way to express our design. And this was the first product that came out from the European team. So basically we are a kind of advanced design that has to be also a satellite, because Genesis has 3 design teams set in the world. One is the main one is in Namyang, the second one is in Irvine, and then we are the Europe design team. So this was done before, but then we had also to realize the projects. Also the Essential was built in a workshop, was completely working, checking if the design solution was also, you know, feasible. So it was a kind of transition, being ready also to go in production, but it's not happening now. This is the final result. The team also took care about the interior. About the interior, we have to say that we are also trying each time to have a new approach, to play with the roominess of the car, the details, the architectural way to build all the interior lead us also to use the new technologies, to use the premium materials, and to have a kind of cocooning and surrounding behind you that is a compromise between what the car has to offer in terms of you know, habitability, HMI, and so. But it's also important for us, and is our philosophy, to find the best compromise between the space that you have and the space that is left there to create this kind of beauty of white space. This is our hallmark in the interior. Essential had, you know, very prestigious materials, but also plays with new technologies, creating this kind of gray zones that are completely never saw before. And then it comes the Mint. These are all products that were developed in Europe, walking beside our colleagues around the world. And also for us is a good training this year to communicate with them because we are always connected. But then it came the Genesis Mint, that is the exploration of our brand about creating a new mobility in the city. So it's a small car. We took inspiration, as always, from the past. We took contamination from the future concept, but we merged all together in the way to also to provide solution that was never done before. So the Mint is also advanced as each Genesis has to be. The concept, the idea of the guys were, like always, displaying sketches developed in 3D, like you are doing there. And then we came out with the final decision that was developed as was done for the Essentia before. We create the model, we check the ergonomy, we check the details, we refine at each corner time by time. And then after the assembly, we also find a way, as before, to put our geometrics in the details. So also rims and details all around the car, also in the interiors, you can find our DNA that is well explained, following always the form follow function mindset, no? Because we don't want to provide useless design. Each detail has its own function and his own way to be. So the Genesis provide also new solution, like this kind of trunk opening from the side of the car. That was never so before. And this was done by the Europe team. All the work that we do is shared with all the company, and it leads us to have a unique character that we want to spread all around the world. This is Genesis. And now what we did with you guys is also to take inspiration from the young guys and their ideas to try always to grow and grow. This was the Genesis Mint that basically was developed by us. In the interior, we took the same philosophy of the white space. We try to give great roominess in the car, no? And as you can see, the geometrics is displayed there in not invasive way. So you have all the rear part of the car that are the strings that can hold your luggage, or the very detail that is spreading all around the dashboard that they has its own function. So this was the final result that for me is astonishing. They did a very good job, the team. I was not there at the beginning, but the Mint is also giving us a new way to interpret for the future, the elegance, but always to find the best compromise and leave the beauty of white space to the customer inside the car. So basically, this is our path, what happened in the design studio. And as we hope, we are growing in future and maybe taking inspiration from you guys.
Thank you, Alessandro. It's a great work, and I appreciate very much your meeting with us. And now, Lucas, where are you, Lucas? In Argentina? Where are you? Ciao.
Can you see me? Yes, or I see you well.
Please, give an introduction of the brief of the students.
All right. Okay, first of all, and thank you. Even though I started taking care of the projects after many of my colleagues tutoring at SPD did a great job before, it was in the last months that we tried to translate and interpret the inputs that we received from the Genesis team. We had many difficulties, of course. It's a new design language, a brand that I was not used to work for, and it was a challenge inside the challenge. But I think that even though instead of one design, finally, that we prepared many different designs until the last very edge of the most little detail that could be achieved, that meant a lot more work for the whole team, not only for myself, but for the students and for the school. So I would like to thank also the whole team for that. And we've been trying to, as I said, to make things cleaner and more simple, We had a lot of struggle with surfaces because it's doing new things mean that of course you need to do over and over to improve. And I would like to advise all students in the next days after you will graduate today to try to really invest your time in the most effective way. Try to do things good and once and avoid repeating somehow the exercise until you achieve the proper result. But this is a matter of quality that you will absolutely learn in the next years. Okay, so I would like to wish you all best, and I hope you enjoyed the time together, and we will have the chance to work professionally in the future. Okay, so I'm keen to see the projects that we've developed with you guys, and I would like to thank again the school and the tutors before me, because they really prepared a great base for us to really do a great job at the end. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Lucas. Okay, let's go to start with a presentation. I invite on the stage the first group. The designers are Jacopo Fochman, Gianluca De Vito, Luca Polcari, Kum Kim, Rafael Cervera, Arshit Shivanna, Chechen Liao, and Ayas Das. The name of the project is Genesis JVE.
So, good morning everyone, and I'm Gianluca De Vito, and I'm going to present the GVE concept. Going on, the main aim of the project was to design a concept car with SUV architecture for the year 2030. It was meant to be a statement from the Genesis brand in the European market. Going on, therefore, we have introduced in our concept cutting-edge technology such as the ultrasound and haptic feedback UI that you will see later in the interiors. Going on, about the design language, we strongly believe that purity is going to come back in the near future. And so we undertook this philosophy of the beauty of white space with flowing lines and very simple surfaces. The core idea of the car is to have the DLO, the greenhouse, actually nested in the body, like a precious gem. And moreover, a great inspiration for us has been Riva's motorboats for their iconic and timeless elegance. Next slide. Okay, so we started from the key sketch in the top left, I don't know if you can see, and then we worked to develop volumes and shape to achieve convincing proportion to us. Starting from the side view, we can see very simple yet dynamic side view and surface treatments. We can see the expanding section that Mr. Alessandro Serra was mentioning in the presentation before. And then we have this main side feature, our side panel, that is underlined by this underskin in copper. This copper connects the front, the side and the front, and going to the front we have the grille that is a very characterizing element, and it is also highlighted in copper with the G-matrix inside. And talking still about recognizing elements, we have the robo face, so the two stripes in the front continuing in the side and appearing also in the rear. In the rear, we use the same treatments, the same philosophy as in the side, so simple, but yet very dynamic. About the tip-ups, here we can appreciate the dynamism of the car, how the lines flows from the front to the back, and then also the treatment and the care put on every detail. For example, here we can see the pattern on the roof. This is our interpretation of the G-matrix. And we wanted it to feel like a piece of jewelry. Next slide, please. Okay, and in this slide, we can see how the lines of the pattern start from the hood, so from the front, goes on the roof and finish on the back. In top view, we can see also how the 4 occupants sit inside very comfortably. And then in the next slide, we can see how the occupants enter in the car. we have this butterfly door opening, quite extreme, we know, but we wanted this welcoming feeling of the car and also a very spacious room inside. Going on, we have some details. Finally, we have our CMF proposal. For the CMF, the main color we decided is the ice gray. The idea is that the paint should emphasize the perception of the surface treatment. That's why we chose this gray. But then we wanted also to feel the premiumness, to highlight the details. That's why we use copper. That is also, of course, used by the brand. Same thing we have in the interiors. We have the beauty of white space and all the details highlighted in copper. But about the interiors, my colleague Rafa is going to introduce you.
At the beginning, we start playing, taking some of the main design elements from Genesis brand, as the ellipse shapes, the two parallel lines, and the G-matrix. We combine them to create this sort of nest to create the main environment for the interior. So we also develop the components from the interior, such as the seat, the console, and the steering wheel. We want to make them like grow from the surfaces surrounding the car. For the dashboard, we reach this premium feeling with the big clean surfaces and treatment, and really careful with the treatments in copper. And this floating dashboard also gives the lightness to the interior. Next. So we can see how the athletic elegance is applied here. We can see how the lines are going from the front and flowing to the back. So we can communicate with the car also with gestures. For the rear passengers, also they have infotainment for them, applied in the rear of the seats. In the overall interior, we can see how we try to maintain the space white as possible, but also giving the details in copper and some lights in warm tones, so we can give this cozy and welcoming feeling. Next. So, okay, here we have some of the exterior emotional renders, so we can appreciate a bit the front and the side. At the same time, in the back is the car showing the rear, showing the car in the streets. Thank you very much, and now we can go to the VR.
We also have some different color and trim proposal. Maybe yes, we can see, yeah. Okay, so we have white, British green, and finally dark gray. Okay. We can see the interiors here. Okay, so here we can see a three-quarter view of the car, how it looks. And then we can go maybe to the front to see better the grille that I was talking about before. Yes, as my colleagues, you can see the three-dimensionality of the grille. Actually, we thought it to be also a pattern in the depth, extruded but not flat. And the two stripes, as I said, are present also in the rear. Yes, so still very recognizable, both from the front and the rear. Then in the rear, we have also this treatment of the outlets, and also, of course, on the front for a matter of coherence. That is like a cut, very sharp cut, done in a single gesture to keep the tension of the surface and, of course, also the simple feeling. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
I invite the second group. The project is named Nautica, and the designers are Nikolai Gavronsky, Sergei Bikau, Ung Sun Chang, Daria Senchisheva, Reddy Gangazani, Kamal Chagla e Kumar Siddharth.
My name is Daria, and I'm happy to present you result of work. Our aim was to create a fresh and inspiring project, also trying to understand what can be the product that Genesis can produce in the future. The aim for us was to design the concept which premium not just in terms of price, but also in terms of unique and priceless experience. For example, for our project, we was inspired by activities and sports which Genesis customer could go with this kind of car and join it in the most comfortable and luxurious way. Also, one of the main features for our car is specially designed golf bags, which place it in the front part of the car, and the bags which placed in the rear part of the car and can be removed for, I don't know, for yacht, a nice trip. The main aim for us was to stay as much minimalistic as possible, but to save Genesis identity and try to experiment with the architecture. Next. As I already mentioned, the yacht was a huge source for us in terms of inspiration, and we're trying to create a clean, nice, dynamic volume, which also shaped with the sensual and tense lines. And also our interior very nicely contrasts with this kind of minimalistic style of exterior, because we merged beauty of white space and Calatrava architecture. Next. From Key Sketch, it's also visible that we try to use as less lines as possible. And for example, the roof lines is designed by Oblo line from Yacht Architectures. And this is our car. It's full electric, shooting brake, but it's not just a long, showy car. We try to use all the space as much as possible and to include the function inside of this. As I already mentioned, in the front area we have golf bags, and in the rear area we have a special bags for your personal needs and using. And welcome to Nautica. This is our final design we come with. And the color of the car also inspired by the water and by the yachts. Yeah, it's also visible how nicely Calatrava inside of the car going up with interior and create this kind of little accents on the car. We also saved iconic two Genesis lines and trying to put minimalistic and very bright accents on this huge volume to emphasize the main inspiration objects. Also, we're trying to work a lot with the elements and to use also parametric design in the exterior. It's visible on the grid and on the wheels, but with the color and trim, we try to make the right accents on the car. Yeah, some view from the rear. And again, rear view, we modified it. Here we can see some emotional slides just for you to join the power of this car and how gentle and gorgeous it is. We put a lot of attention to the surfacing and also to the details to highlight the elegance of the car. Yeah. And in terms of color and trim, the main inspiration for us was how the sun slightly reflecting on the water surfacing and create this nice highlights. For this, we put copper finish for the main elements all around the car to emphasize this feeling. And now let's open the doors with Kamal.
All right, am I clear? Can you hear me? Yes. Perfect, all right. So let's, like Daria said, open the doors. All right, before we go into the interior, let's go back into the concept. Now, just to remind you, the main concept of our car was beauty of white. And we started including the idea of Calatrava architecture, that is bringing parametric designs with, of course, a functional aspect to it. Moving on, you can see how we started bringing this in to our sketches. Of course, during this time, a key sketch was selected. In the key sketch, you can see how the typical Genesis 2 lines, which go all around you, are very evident. You can also see the 2 lines going all the way through the center of the vehicle, and you can see how the seats have a very floating feeling and also give you the feeling of, let's say, how you would feel if you were floating on water in itself. Moving on, you can see the car with its doors open. Here, bringing back the idea of the purity of white, we bring also with it the elegance by giving it copper accents, and that is the contrast that we wanted to give to the car and also give that aquatic feeling by. Moving on, you can see the beauty of white coming back into life. First, you see the HMI, which gives you your speedo and you also your basically your data for the infotainment. Then you can see the steering wheel, which also has an HMI unit, which can inform you about any particular traffic incidents, and also a few cubes on the side showing you the interactions with the car when you're driving. You can also see the main typical 2 lines go all the way through the center and also go all around the vehicle. The armrest, as you can see, is floating to give you, again, the idea of a floating experience. Moving on. We've moved to the back now, and in the back, we follow the same design language. You can also see these cubes coming on for the HMI, and you can see very well the projections which are there on the surfaces. These projections are, let me rephrase, these projections are leather coated with chrome so that they give you the effect of metal and still remain comfortable. Moving on, you can also see the front view really showing us the 2+2 architecture with a lot of rear leg space for the rear passenger. Let's get into the color and trim of the vehicle. Like we said, the white was mixed with a lot of copper accents, and that you can see over here, like the foot pedals that were done in stainless steel with copper being anodized, wool being an important aspect for the carpets, and of course, a lot of copper-coated metals around here. Thank you. Then that would be our interior. Now, let's go on to the VR. Here, you can see wonderfully the tip-off view of the vehicle, which shows the proportions of our car. This car is quite unique just because of its proportions. Right. So we're back. So the tip-up view, which typically shows the proportions of our car, you can see here that you can see the package of our car quite clearly over here. The rear seat passenger has ample room to be comfortable in this vehicle as well. The side view showing the very prestigious proportions of this car and the wonderfully lit rims, and also the 2 lines that go all over the car. We have now come to the front perspective, and you can see all the copper accents of the front and the really detailed grille that goes along here. The front showing a menacing face, also with with the 2 Genesis lines going from the bottom down. Another tip-up view of the front and the animation of how you could access your front luggage. Now, that being closed, we move next onto the rear of the vehicle, where you can see the dynamic lines that go sweeping on the vehicle, right? And then we have a rear tip-up view from top, which show how dynamic, again, and elegant the vehicle is. From the rear, you can see how these 2 lines merge in the bottom, creating a new idea for what the Genesis lines could be.
Now we move into the interior, and you can see, again, in the interior space with the Calatrava architecture going all around the vehicle, the HMI units, and also the floating conceptual seats. You can see the main oblong line and also our main character line on the bottom with our light catcher, almost forming a rip curl, again bringing us the aquatic feeling. And if you move towards the rim, you can see some of the patterns on the grille, again replicated on the wheel there. A bit of lighting element to make sure the car looks illuminated at all times. Moving on to the rear. What we could call our most dynamic view, you can see all the lines converging to the center. And here, again, the character line of our car. Now, the two lines which diverge from the center and move out towards the car is also prominent over here, and a small little exhaust for the heat coming out of the batteries. And you can also see very beautifully the two lines that run all the way through the car in the interior, and how we have integrated it with that. Thank you so much.
One more Genesis proposal. I invite on the stage the designers of the project Genesis G6. The name of the designers are Ewan McPherson. The project, okay. Ewan McPherson, Marcela Martinez, Reza Shala, Nikita Gusev, and Kumar Navnet.
So, good afternoon, everybody. It's my pleasure to present to you today the work of Group 6 for Genesis. That's myself, Ewan McPherson, Marcela Martinez, Navneet Kumar, Reza Shala, and Nikita Gusev. So I'll start with our concept description. So from the start of the concept of this electric SUV project, we were always looking for themes. We were looking for stories. So ourselves, we took the idea of sound and how we can incorporate the idea of sound and the sound in our geometric sense into forms and sculptures to create a sort of theme of our car and an overall sound of Genesis, to give this car its distinct character and have an instrumentational aspect from which to take inspiration. So in terms of target, we wanted to market ourselves for a very high class and very premium lifestyle, something that can push this brand up to the upper echelons of the sort of car range, competing with the highest segments in all of these categories. And here we see where our car, we believe, can fit into the Genesis range. So it can be an addition to this range at the kind of upper echelons, higher at the end. So we started from our initial mood board with these sort of key sketches, the mood board exploring some sort of sculptural themes with central surfaces, along with some geometric aspects for the detailing. Another round of development, we explored ideas such as the double skin theme, along with some patterns on the side, along with some geometric textures, which was further developed into a rounder, more subtle and more central proposal, avoiding these edgy shapes. So the final direction for the exterior consists of a very long, with a long bonnet, long overhangs SUV, over 5.2 meters long, with this geometric texture on the sides, mimicking the sound wave sculpture. The idea this sort of ripples through as it creates a sound. If we want to go on. So from the front view, we can see the initial stance of the vehicle, this reflection again on the side created, along with the very powerful front grille stretching to the full width of the front of the car, accented by chrome highlighting details, further emphasizing this sort of premium nature. From the rear, we can again see how sculptural this side surface is, along with the oval construction of the rear, which forms the tail lights, along with the rear shoulder, as it can be further accented here, along with the lower chrome detailing that follows along the car, again following these two stripes of Genesis, which we want to refer to throughout the project. So we decided to go with a Gullwing Door in order to save the texture from the side from any ghastly shut lines. So we wanted to have a dramatic, open and airy experience, so it's very stark contrast from the exterior to the interior, you can see this sort of beauty of white space, which we'll go into in further detail later. And again, we can show this from the rear view. So this sort of huge opening, making it very easy to get in and out of the car, whilst also creating a sort of visual drama and, again, a story in itself for the brand. So initial package, like I said before, we're 5.2 meters in length, and storage generous at both the front and rear due to this long bonnet. And we're a strict 4-seater in order to ensure that a high level of luxury is retained throughout. I will now pass on to my colleague Marcella, who will explain the interior development. Thank you.
Good afternoon. We centered our attention on the beauty of white space that Genesis has, and we chose materials that could make our interior look light and premium and airy and have like a comfortable ambient. For the front trunk, since we have a very long bonnet, we wanted to take advantage of this space, making fitted luggage matching the concept of the interior. So, yeah, this is our interpretation of beauty of white together with our concept, which is a lot of geometric patterns and lightness in the space. We took inspiration from sculptures mainly on other objects for movement and for treatments of the surfaces. So the initial theme of the interior, we started, the design of the interior focuses around the central oscillating dashboard that can adapt the shape depending on the intended use, creating smooth surfaces and geometric shapes as it moves. And then going further with the development of the dashboard, we decided to have these two lines that are the characteristic of Genesis, and having the top line being dynamic while the lower one staying still to create structure, and the top one moves and shapes according to the driving mode that we want. So on the development of the steering wheel, we try to recall some aspects that we have on the exterior, which are the two lines and the shape of the grille. For the seat, going back to one of the proposals of the exterior, having the double skin body, we took inspiration for that for our seat. Also adding some texture to recall also the texture and treatment that we have on the exterior. This is how the dashboard looks in a neutral mode, and how wide the space is, and how depending on the driving mode, this is more interactive, and going to autonomous mode also that could be used by all the passengers to watch a movie or something. Also making it very spacious, taking advantage of the space that we have on the front area. So we also have a central console. We can see that we have a lot of details in chrome, trying to keep everything light and full of air and metallic details, such as the central console. We have a protruding element that, and also we have it on the armrests that are controllers for commands such as a dashboard, such as a screen, or other commands throughout the car. Here we can see a bit more of the details on the steering wheel and on the central console, and the elements on the sides that are used to control different situations in the night view with light. And we have some emotional renderings to show our car in different environments. Thank you very much for listening. And this is all.
if you want to start from the designated views, we can go. It's no problem at all. Yeah, so there we are from the tip-up view with this texture very eminent on the side. We can see this character line emanating from the front light all the way to the rear wheel arch, and then it reappears again in the rear. So from the side, we can see these two stripes emanating from the front to the rear, forming the headlights, then onto the side repeaters, and then eventually to the tail lights at the rear. From the front, we see this huge grille. There's got a huge amount of presence and stance to the car, and then these kind of 4 signature LEDs in the headlights to give it that width. Again, similarly from the front, we can see the chrome detailing down the bottom, continuing these stripes, and then as we can see the hood opening fully to allow easy of access, because obviously the bonnet's going to be quite high. We want these suitcases to be easy to take out, so it makes logical sense for the grille to go up along with. And we'll keep going around the car. You can see the rear view with this oval and also the illuminated Genesis logo at the rear. This sort of oval giving the structure to the rear shoulder, along with these lines on the roof, which are a continuation from the dashboard for the interior. So if we see it in a full top view, eventually it will go all the way. So with the VR, I think it makes the most sense we can highlight the details that you can't see so clearly in the renders. So perhaps I'll ask my colleague Kuba if he can show the side view for a start, and then we can look at the details on there. So if we look in at the wheels, we can see there's copper inlays along with the kind of geometric pattern that we have explored in the rest of the car. Okay, yeah, again here we can see this texture on the side along with this wraparound chrome detail, which is one of the things we really wanted to highlight on the car. Along with this sort of over glass area. We also have some kind of chrome accents going along the windows in order to give it that sort of double layered effect without necessarily creating the seamed and gap shut lines, so keeping everything flush. Okay, so the grille is a nice regular geometric pattern consisting of some chrome elements over a glass surface in behind so that we could have a little bit of transparency. And then obviously this further chrome detailing at the bottom to create this really premium effect. But yeah, that pretty much sums up our virtual reality experience. I'd like to thank you very much for your attention and the project as a whole. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, now the last group. The name of the project is Genesis GVE 90, and the designers are Aftab Salman, Rabie Morteza, Oyas Sagroli, Minang Wang, Samuel Gauthier e Giuseppe Starace.
Hello, everyone. We'll be presenting the GVE 90 concept. And with me, my colleagues Sam Gauthier, Morteza Rabi, Ojas Sogroli, Giuseppe Starace, and Minhang Wang. Basically, our project aim was to create this car, which is a sculpture, but it should have a lot of elements that suggest that it's electric. So we wanted to identify a lot of electric elements to exaggerate the main features of the car. So for the concept, the main market and the main images for the interior and exterior concepts were around the premium, sensuous, luxurious words. So we were looking for this high-end market, these people who have jet planes and who can afford these toys and who want the best in life, and they want the best kind of transportation for their journeys. Next. So for the mood board images, which was the inspiration for the interior and mainly the exterior, was around these smooth surfaces, these sensual surfaces, along with these three-dimensional lines. So we were trying to create the geometrics, for example, in a three-dimensional space. For example, for the grille, we did this geometrics grille, which is made up of these 3D lines that we'll see here later on. For some of the key sketches that were throughout the project, basically show how we have this, in the end, this element on the base, which is representing the electricity moving through the car from the base going up to the back, and then we have this airflow space in the front. Let's move on. Looking at the overall dimensions of the car, it's a big car, so you could it's around 5.5 meter long. It's 1.65 tall and 2 meter wide. So a normal layout for an electric car, the batteries are in the floor, the motors in the back and in the front. So looking at the first view of the car, the main feature, so the way we treated the parabolic line was to move from the front grille, going to the back, really soft, then disappearing near the rear arch, and then continuing on the back of the car. we see these white lines on the base of the car. These are basically what's being represented by the electricity, and this can be used for different uses. For example, for indicator kind of lights, for pedestrian warnings, and these. Let's move on. Then we have this airflow opening through the grille in the front to reduce the aerodynamic face of the car. Basically, and the front grille is also treated in a way that it's frosted glass and it's illuminated on the back. So it really illuminates the whole grille, creating this diamond kind of feeling. Then we see these white lines on the bonnet. These basically, again, represent the air flowing through the car. And also, when you're driving the car, you see the G-matrix lights right in front of you. Moving on to the rear, we can see how the really soft parabolic line starts to move from the front, disappears near the rear arch, and that creates this really sharp face on the back, also representing the G-matrix, the G-matrix grille that's also in the front. Let's move on. And then the night signature for the front and the rear, how we show this. So basically the idea was that the Genesis should also be visible during night, right? So we have the two lines already, then why not in an electric car where you don't need the grille, you can illuminate the G-matrix too really slightly. Then when we open the doors, it's a butterfly opening door, and the base lines, which were the electricity part of the car, the lower base, it turns down to create a step for the entrance, and there is no B-pillar, so there is a very open, wide, welcoming feeling. And while that happens, next slide, while that happens, there's also this G-matrix kind of pattern which can be customized, projected on the ground, which is going to give a nice feeling, especially at night when you're approaching the car and the doors start to open and the car presents itself. Next. Then the same view for the back, we see how this G-matrix is presented on the floor on both sides, welcoming you to the car. Interior design.
So now we move on to the interior design of this project. So beauty of white space was our brief. And we took this theme forward in our own interpretation, and we tried to mix it along with the three-dimensional architectural approach that Genesis has been applying with its design language, such as the G-matrix application in the exterior and the interior elements and so on and so forth. And moving on to some of the interior development sketches, on the top left, you can see some of the early sketches that were selected by the Genesis team, and we were told to work on these. Try to retain the key elements of those sketches and the simple and yet minimalistic nature of these sketches, and to translate that into a modern and contemporary looking interior. And you can see the progression of the whole interior with the beauty of white space being kept in mind. Certain images related to the concept on the top right of the board you can see over there, which kind of reflect the feeling of the interior. And we also had this idea of doing something creative with the roof of the car, so that an environment is created within the interior where direct sunlight is impacting everything that happens inside the car. So in the various views of the interior that we see moving on, we start to see these reflections and these shadows forming on the insides of the car, which give it a very three-dimensional feeling on the interior. Now, looking at the color and trim options over here, so some of the color and trim options were discovered early on during the project, and we went with certain elements, certain copper, certain bronze, and zinc elements on the interior and on the exterior complementing each other, and combining that with the white leather kind of feel for the most of the textile part of the interior. Here we can see a slightly more clearer view of how one approaches the vehicle when the doors are open, and how you can imagine the opening of the car to look like, and how you may perceive the interior. Again, one view from the back of the car. Here you can see the kind of environment that you're seated in. Again, really highlighting what happens when light hits those bars on the top of the roof and creates this environment inside of the car. Again, very open, very airy atmosphere, very, let's say, enhancing the beauty of white space concept as far as it can be. With that, I believe we have to conclude the presentation, and a few emotional renders here for you. Thank you so much for your time and attention. It was a pleasure to present this project to you all. Thank you.
And now it's my pleasure to yield the floor to Alessandro Serra, Head of Exterior Group Manager, Genesis Advanced Design Europe, and to Giuseppe Ceccio, Senior Exterior Design, Genesis Advanced Design. Thank you.
We started months ago in doing these projects, and basically we stress the guy so much. We ask them to be strong in their decision, no? To be able to defend their own ideas, to be conceptual, but not so far from the feasibility, to consider, you know, the proportion of the car, the constraints and ergonomy. We asked them to develop these projects, and we were mean. We forced ourselves to be mean in judging them, only because we want them to be in that way, you know, because this is the way. Being professional in designing cars has to be all of these. And sometimes it's not easy, but it gives a lot of good results if you are tough, as they were during this year, each time renewing, you know, them ideas to find a new way to build a strong story on them projects, no? And basically what I saw today, then I can disagree with some detail. I can, okay, maybe criticize in one project that there are too many lines. This can be thinner to be more elegant and blah, but this is not what I want to do. What I want to say is that I'm happy to be here today because I see the resume of all this work, and this well done. Congratulations, guys. I want to congratulate with you because this was not easy. Also because you have to merge your ideas with other guys' ideas to give a final product. So we were also colliding different cultures, different approaches, different skills, and this is how it works basically in the design development. You reached the goal, guys. I mean, today we saw a very professional presentation. All the stories were well displayed. I also to congratulate with the SPD because was very tough also to manage, I think, this kind of, you know, streaming and organization, connecting with all the guys worldwide, sending, receiving staff material, you know, following the line of the request of the owners. So basically what I want to do is just to say that I'm very satisfied about the final result. I mean, all the concepts display some good idea in all of them. Basically, there were, obviously, because it's subjective also, there are some corners that maybe I disagree, but I found everywhere fresh ideas, a fresh result. Everything was so inspiring to me. And I think this is the main goal that all of you have achieved in this, you know, path.
Okay, Alessandro, could you give us some comments to each group? For example, this is the first group, GVE
Yeah.
concept.
This is here, for example, I can say there's some parabolic line, some kind missing in the side, but there is this nice try to make the, you know, the expanding section intersecting, entering in the side and coming out as a volume in the front. This is something that I like. Has to be refined, of course, but it is something that I appreciate a lot. And also, for example, I was talking about the interior, the way that you use the lips in the dashboard to create the HMI and to leave the structural approach of the dashboard. This is something that personally I liked a lot. Can be a bit wider, can be, you know, you can go on. But the main concept is what I asked to you, to be some kind in between being conceptual, but ready to be used also to get the final product. No, this can be inspirative for something feasible, and you nailed it. I mean, this is a good result to me, and I have to say, good work, guys. Well done.
Thank you. Fine. Okay, I will give to you guys some comments and also critics, I think, because remember that even when the car is in production, you still will receive critics, and the critics are what make you stronger, what make you better designers. So starting with the stuff I like, let's say, as you remember, the first key sketch that was selected, it was really cool for us, and we pushed you to develop that sketch. And I think you nailed it pretty well, how to transform that sketch in the final car. I can maybe argue some details like the difference between the front that is a bit squared and the rear that is a bit smooth. But in general, it's a really good project. So good job, guys, from my point of view. Try to put the same effort even in your future job.
Right.
Thank you very much.
The second group, the project Nautica, please.
Okay. Same things I said before is it is also for you guys. I saw the progression you did, and this was astonishing. So well done. This is a nice car from my side. It's exaggerated. Is a mass that gives many opportunities, and I think that you interpreted well. You gave many options to the customer to leave the car. No, there's an opening in the front with a huge amount of storage. Also in the rear. I mean, the car is so nice. It's pure. It's just one line that is the parabolic line that is clearly with also some, forcing in the corners, but it explains one wish that is clear. So, I mean, also the style of this car, it is very clean and pure, and this is what we need. We need not to be afraid about exploring new corners, new way to treat details, and this is what you did with the rear. It is a very fast shooting brake, and the mass of this car is something that I love simply. I can say that also in the interior, there is a very nice appeal. No, I personally, the tunnel is a bit always huge, but okay, there's the need of a battery there. So you explained that this is a compromise. Is good to me. But for the rest, also the treatment can be a bit subtle. But I mean, the perception of the elegance is there. The seats are very nice, and so I think also, like Pepe said, all the car is coherent. The beauty of white space is about more the space, not the white. Here there's a lot of white, guys, but I mean also the project is very nice, and congratulations from my side.
Okay. From my point of view, I just want to remember how many times we changed the mass of this car. At the beginning was a short car, and after we suggest you to enlarge it, that what's for me more important than that the idea of the shooting brakes came like 2 months before the presentation, and this is something I really like from this project. You managed really well how to solve all the corners in a really short time, and that was a kind of proof for us that you wanted to work on this project, and we really appreciate a lot this. Thank you guys for the effort.
No, that's true. I just want to remark what Beppe said. This is basically redone in the last 2 months, and also from my side, I have to congratulate with you guys.
Thank you.
The third group, Genesis G6.
Yeah, guys. Also, you very good job. I like the car. Basically, is very well displayed. I mean, in the side is very fluent and morbid, and you also use this texture that, personally, to me, is a bit too much, because the car, it works itself with no texture on the side, but maybe I'm a bit too much old style, no? What I have to say is that in the front, before I was saying there are some part that I would live with, especially is the front. The lower part of the bumper is something that I really like, the way you merged these kind of stronger triangular elements with a very refined chrome surrounding the car and working with the crest. The concept in the interior on the dashboard is completely okay. Not easy to solve feasibility to do expanding monitors and so, but the idea is it is very nice. It is a morphing interior. It adapts to your needs, And basically what does is what can be useful for the customer. I mean, having a huge white monitor when you are, you know, chilling out with the self-driving mode. And congratulations from my side.
Thank you.
I like the textures, the fact that you put it something at least on a side that was so clean. The only thing that I don't like about the textures is the presentation. You didn't explain well how it works. That basically was the original concept, and this was something we spoke already. But speaking about the car in general, as I said, I agree with Alessandro. The masks now, they works, the details are coherent, and the grill, yes, I also agree with Alessandro. You should find something better. But the lower area of the bumpers are really good. Even the parabolic line, I can see that you listened our suggestion, so you inverted the section there. So really good job, guys. Also for you, I remember we had a lot of troubles. We changed the mass many times, and I can see that you managed really well in the small amount of times we had in the last month.
Right.
So thank you, really good.
Thank you.
And now the project Genesis GVE90.
Yes, please.
I personally have still some problem with the amount of lines you used. I mean, in the lower area. I think that at the end you don't need it. But this car has a kind of unique style. It is very minimalistic, and it displays a lot of details all around that are well solved. So basically also, I mean, in the rear, I can find the coherence. I can find the coherence all around the car, and I love the aero detail that you put on the upper part of the car. No, this is also something that works very well from the interior. The design is clean somehow, and there's a huge amount of usage of you know, strong materials as a structure. So the interior is very structural, and this is something that I like. There's a good balance in trim and color. I mean, there is white, but there are also other materials.
We saw that you did a really huge improvement compared to the last presentation you showed to us, and especially in the mass of the car, that it's really well balanced now. I really appreciate also how you treated the spoiler in the back. It's give to this car a really huge sport feeling.
It's all about never give up and always, you know, put in the maximum efforts. This seems rhetoric, but you showed that you really wanted to achieve the goal, and this is the most important thing. I mean, is part of our job many times. Is about simply not giving up and trying to understand how to force your limits to obtain something more. This is what you did, and this is a proof of you know, professionality and love for what you are doing. And from our side, this is very important. So well done, guys, and thank you for your effort.
Thank you.
Alessandro, Giuseppe, Lucas, thank you very much for these comments, and thank you for this extraordinary collaboration of this year. And see you in the future. Good luck for your job. Okay. Thank you very much. Ciao.
Bye. Congratulations.
Ciao ragazzi. See you. Bye.
That's it.